Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this first forum of 2022. Hope that you had a very good holiday period. We haven't met for a couple of months. We typically don't meet in November and December, and here we are. I guess all of us were hoping by now things would be a little bit better than what it is now, but it's not really that bad. Things are going forward. We would have, as usual, a couple of updates from our office, and then hopefully we would be able to answer questions from you as they come in. On the campus is doing really well as far as proposals and awards are going forward. We are going, it seems like based on the numbers we see right now, we are way ahead of last year. And remember that last year, it was a record for the campus as far as the award goes. So due to creativity and competence of the researchers, it seems like we are going to be much higher than last year. This year, up to this point, the first 6 months, we are substantially higher volume of award that we have received. That obviously makes so much more work for all of you in the department and all of our people, while we have lots of vacancies. And with things happening across the country, people moving around and all of that, it hasn't been that easy to fill the positions fast enough. So we are dealing with lots of vacancies, thanks to members of sponsored programs, proposals, and awards. They have been working very diligently, the same as in the departments. As you know, I know that you are short-staffed in the department too. So, I mean, it's not reasonable at this point to assume that we would be able to move projects forward as fast as we could do them a year or 2 years ago. So that's the reality. And everybody is working hard, but projects are taking much longer time to complete. I hope that we won't miss proposal deadlines, but the volume is very high. You want to work with your PIs for them to know that if they come in late, things might not move forward. So that's what I want to talk about in general. And again, we all know what's going on, and that's where we are. Let's start with the updates from our office. How about from proposal? Kelly, do you want to give your update, please?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, so just bear with me for a moment. Okay. Okay, can everybody see the screen? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm just going to go through a few updates today for both proposals and subawards. As far as proposals go, effective yesterday, Tuesday, January 25th, use of NIH's new biographical sketch and other support format pages is required. And as you'll recall, they're going to implement that last year and push the date back to this year, January. Please be sure that you're using Forms G application packages for everything that was due yesterday or going forward. Applications that are submitted using the wrong forms, which typically would be Forms F, which were previously used, may be withdrawn and removed from funding consideration. So it's really important that you're using Forms G. In fact, I know the systems will actually give you a warning to remind you to use them, but I wanted to make sure to remind you in advance of the system warning you. Another thing you need to know about is that by April of 2022, the federal government will officially stop using the DUNS number to identify entities. That said, although agencies are not required to fully transition until April, NIH and FDA will transition for due dates as of yesterday, again, tying to the NIH biographical sketch change, to align with the standard application and review cycles. So at that point, whether it was yesterday for NIH and FDA or April for other agencies, entities doing business with the federal government will use a unique entity identifier that's created in SAMS.gov. You don't need to take any action. That's already been done because UC Davis is already registered with SAM.gov. It's assignable, it's viewable in SAM. It's easier for you to probably find it on our institutional information page, which is on the SPO website. I've also included it in this slide for you here. However, if you're using 424 for submittals, the UEI should automatically populate. We verified it's in 424. We verified that it was on applications that were going in yesterday. So it should not be anything you need to worry about at all if you're using 424. And speaking of 424, we highly encourage you to use 424 instead of Assist for NIH submissions, as 424 is a little bit more streamlined for the submission and review process. It's a little bit faster to save, and it's a little bit easier for us to review without having to go through so many layers. It also doesn't require us to log in twice with 2 separate passwords when we try to submit. And in SPO, especially with volume and heavy deadlines, sometimes seconds count. So if you would consider using 424, that would make it, I think, a much more streamlined process for everybody. And then last but not least with proposals, just a quick reminder about emails. If a team lead, which would be Chris Dihixenbaugh or Elisa Bunn, are copied on correspondence from your assigned analyst, when you respond, please reply to all so that the team lead is kept informed. This will ensure we can assist our analysts in training and efficiently partner with you on the proposal submissions. As for subawards, we ask that you please use the most current subaward request form that's on our website. I realize a lot of people probably have downloaded it and saved it to their desktop for easy access, but we have updated it to include a human subject data sharing question. And having that information at the get-go when we receive the request eliminates some of the back and forth and helps expedite the process a little bit more. So please make sure you're using the most current form, which is on our website. And when you submit, please be sure that you're submitting all required documentation with that request form, which is generally a scope of work, budget justification, and a subaward commitment form if that wasn't submitted at the time of proposal. Again, that will help expedite the review process. And we want to make sure everybody knows that subawards have to be requested. They don't automatically get issued when an award is executed. That's really important. We've seen some requests come through lately where someone said, oh, they've done the work and we need to pay right now with no subaward in place. And because they are handled first in, first out, we want to make sure that the subaward is done in advance of the work being done so that payment is not an issue. And then finally, regarding status, we've had a lot of questions about status. We want to let everybody know that when we send a subaward out for signature or we send it back out fully executed, we'll copy the department and PI on those communications so you're up to date. You can also check Cayuse. Cayuse will tell you who your assigned analyst is and where it is in the process, whether it's waiting for something in our office or it's with the subrecipient for review and signature. So we wanted to pass along that helpful information as well. Does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna go ahead and stop share so I can look at the chat box. I don't see anything. If anything comes up during the forum, I'll be watching chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Regarding the UEI that Kelly explained, again, we are all set. We don't have to do anything new. We are registered properly. But no, the reason I am repeating what Kelly said basically is because of the fact that I have been receiving various requests from the departments saying that somebody, a company, an entity, or whoever has said that our SAM is not updated or we don't have UEI or something like that. None of that is correct. Our SAM is absolutely updated to the end of this year. Our UEI is there. So we are all set. So that's just, I wanted to repeat that. Let's see, how about if we have updates from awards? Grace?
Good morning, everybody. So I hope your 2022 is getting off to a good start. Well, I have 2 links I'm going to put into the chat box. I'm not sharing a screen, so it'll just be the 2 links. The first one is from NSF. Let me put it here. This is their new pre-award and post-award disclosure table that they just released on January 10th of this month. So you'll want to look at the kind of information you would include in current and pending or in your reports about disclosures. Okay, that's the linked chart is the most updated one for NSF pre-award and post-award disclosures. And the second issue regards NIH. So NIH is moving to a two-factor login. And so basically to make ERA user accounts more secure, they're going to a two-factor login, or otherwise known as multi-factor authentication. And so you have two ways to comply. You can use login.gov or you use in-common federated account. And I'm also putting a link for the NIH two-factor login. For sure, you will want to look at this link because it affects all of your PIs and your researchers. So this basically all PIs and key personnel associated with an application or RPPR, progress report, will be required to transition to the two-factor authentication. And there is a triggering event. You'll have to transition to the two-factor authentication 45 days after the submission of a competing grant application or an RPPR. Okay, so a month and a half basically after you've submitted something such as an application or RPPR. And after 45 days of this triggering event, users will not be able to access ERA modules until they set up and use their two-factor authentication. So please look at the link and make sure that your researchers and PIs are ready to transition over to the two-factor login. Has anybody gone through this process with their PIs yet? Okay, well, I'm sure in the coming months, people will have this experience because this seems like it's a requirement. It shouldn't be very major. ERA Commons is not going away. It's just simply the login method is changing. So please make sure that people have set up the two-factor so that you're not scrambling at the last minute with 5 minutes to go, before the submission of an application and to do this process. And I guess in the next forum, if you've gone through this process, let us know how it went and where the tricky parts were. So in SPO, we're not working with a PI, so I don't know what issues they might be facing. So please do share. And that's all I have. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, thank you, Grace. Let's see. I don't know if James was able to join us from accounting, contract and grants accounting. James, are you there?
Oh, I've been here.
Hello.
Chatting with Perry, and I don't know, but anyway, I've been enjoying the presentations. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I think it's a pretty quick update coming from contracts and grants accounting. I'll go ahead and just piggyback off of what Ahmad mentioned earlier. As we're seeing the numbers of awards and everything, progressively coming up, it's challenging because we also have a couple of vacancies in CGA. So, again, we're doing our best to prioritize and move things through. Same thing as always, if you have a special situation where you do need us to take a look at something right away, please do email in. The CGA awards email address is probably the best way to do that, or actually, it's just, I'll just put it in the chat. It's just EFA. We still are somewhat referred to as extramural, and I think some folks on the call here probably still just call us extramural. EFA at UC Davis. Oh shoot, I just sent that to Perry only. Perry, you probably aren't going to be emailing that too much. I've been in a couple of, virtual conferences over the last year or so, and it really is a nationwide situation where hiring research administrators into positions has been a challenge for a lot of institutions. So we aren't alone, but we're working through it best we can. Now, given that, I want to share my screen and make a little bit of a plea having to do with effort reporting. We, as you know, we had a period where we didn't have the effort reporting system going because of getting the UC Path data tied in became quite challenging. And then we did a catch-up release for federal fiscal year 1920, and y'all did a great job helping your faculty get those through. And then in early, or not early, late, right after Thanksgiving, I think we released the next batch of effort reports, and that's what I'm sharing here. We've got 3 days left in the certification period to have these in timely, and you can see we're about, I think it's about 72%. So there is quite a nice little upward jaunt there over the last couple of days. If we could maintain that for the next, through the end of the week, I think we closed the gap really well to get up to 100%. And to be fair, this certification period is a little bit shorter than we traditionally would have. We were just trying to get back into compliance with UCLP policy, which really makes the end of January the due date for effort reports. So please do see if you can help get your PIs and whomever to get their reports certified. And if you have any questions, please reach out. ERS help at UC Davis is the way to go there. So, okay, that's what I have.
There is a question there for you, James.
About the NIH salary cap?
Yes.
I haven't seen the NIH salary cap either. I mean, I think that there was an adjustment to the executive pay scale schedule, and there was some chatter about when is NIH going to actually recognize that, but I haven't seen it. It looks like Grace hasn't seen anything either. So
I haven't either. I have been looking for it. Last year, it came out beginning of January, and effective, I think, the first day of the 2000, as usual, 2021. But I haven't seen it this year yet.
Yeah. So the conversation that I had was a week or so ago with the other system-wide contracts and grants directors call, and it was brought up, and the question was whether or not to load the new executive 2 level salary into UC Path. And I think the decision was to be cautious and wait and see what happens with NIH.
Well, there is a message from Michael Webster. He says that.
Is that the new, Michael, that's the new rate? I don't even know what it is, but that must be the new one.
It says that in UC Pat they have it. I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Okay, then somebody must have made the decision to, okay. Well, yeah. I thought that they were going to wait until there was that official announcement, but when I wrap up here, what I'll do is I'll go do a little search and see if that 2037 is the new executive level two, what are we, right? 2, and I can ping everybody back with that.
Okay, thank you.
And you know what? Just to complete that, personally, if that is the new salary cap, I would recommend it's appropriate to go ahead and start putting that into get your salary distributions set up to do that. Because if you have to do cost transfers when there's salary cap related and going back and fixing things, I know what a real challenge that is. Oh, it looks like Yoki might have found it. Thank you, Yoki. Okay, thank you all.
Okay. Yeah, I said, Yoki, thank you very much. Yoki, you should come join our office or extra mule account. Again, no, I called it extra mule accounting again now too. Sorry for that. Yeah, I see it on the website. There are a couple of places they are showing it right now. Okay, so there's the answer to that question. Again, this is a very good example of what we have been saying, and I say it over and over, that these sessions are where we learn from each other. It's not only from my office or accounting to share information. It's really from all of you experts from departments to exchange information with all of our colleagues. So here is a very good example.
Ahmed, Lindsay Dunn has raised her hand.
Go ahead. If there's something to, can we talk? Can we see what the question is?
It's a lot to type if I could ask it out loud.
Go ahead, please.
For James, just because I'm running into such quirky things with the effort reporting this year. And one of those is I have negative effort because vacation and sick leave hit after the fact. So it must have been reported or taken in September and it hit October. And this was last year. So I've been told to move to credit or move sick time as a credit back to the accounts that this is happening on, but this is definitely going to be over 120 days. What's the best way to approach that? Plus I have to figure out where to even take that from to credit these accounts.
Yeah, I can't help you with where to move the stuff to.
Yeah.
There's the,
Like getting it approved by you guys to process.
So did you get an email from Deborah saying, here's what you need to do?
Yeah, I've been working with Amy and she just said I need to move the salary.
Attach those
Okay.
emails with those instructions. And I talked to Deborah yesterday. We're going to just use that as the central CGA approval.
Okay. I was like, it can't just be me having this issue.
No. If you weren't working, I know it's at least one other person.
Okay. Do I need to do any of the forms or have the PI sign off, or is this just something I can attach that to and that's it? As far as the transfer forms and everything. Or is that email enough for you guys?
Let's say that this is for this very specific situation of the negative, trying to fix negative effort. I'll go ahead and say, let's just take that email coming, the email from Deborah or Amy saying that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
That we will use as the stamp of approval. Because
these accounts don't have any salary on them. It is solely vacation and sick leave credits. So, okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. And there's a note in the chat that Denise reminds us that NIH issued its notice last year at the end of January 129. So maybe any day they would issue the notice, but definitely on the websites we see them that they have raised it. Any other questions, comments, information sharing from colleagues anywhere on we have more than 180 people right now listening to all of this. I'm sure there are good ideas out there, sharing information and so on and so forth. No, if you don't talk, this is going to be a very short meeting. Well, I'm not hearing anything, so
Wait, there's a question on central emails for CDAs and NDAs.
let's see. What's the question again?
Is there a central email that we can send CDA or NDAs to?
Well, there's typically they come to negotiation team, so that's how we receive most of them. So it's negotiations at ucdavis.edu. That's the one that you send for communications regarding any relations with corporate entities, basically. So that's the one you can use. Yes. And we have our CDA, NDA Alice, she's great in responding sometimes within 2 minutes of getting the notice or email coming in. I see that she responds. Well, there is, somebody here says that CDA, NDA need to go to the appropriate office email. One thing to remember now, since that notice has come in or in the chat, there are different parts of the campus who are responsible for CDAs and NDAs. This office sponsored programs deals with CDAs or NDAs that are for talks in anticipation of having a research basically relationship. So if we are having our researchers, they want to talk to corporation X in expectation of hopefully getting to a point for us to put a research agreement in place, that's when the CDAs and the NDAs come to our office. But for example, if a corporation wants to enter into a non-disclosure to talk about an existing intellectual property of the university, that NDA goes to Innovation Access, which is our tech transfer office. It's not us. So it really depends. And if there's CDA, NDA specifically for corporate funded clinical trial, that's in the health system contract. So it really depends on what the intent is, intent of the relationship. But if you can't figure out which one it is and it's not clear, always feel free to send an email to our office and we would guide you properly. Hopefully that answers the question. And thank you, Perry, for putting the address of the negotiation team, or SPO negotiation team, and so on and so forth. Okay, any other questions for any of us or for any of your colleagues around the campus?
I received a note. Do we want to introduce some new staff in SPO to folks?
Well, go ahead, please. Who wants to talk about, introduce new staff? Is it Chris, one of the individuals who has some new members in the office, or?
Yes. Good morning,
Go ahead.
everyone. Thank you for bringing that up as well. This is a great opportunity to introduce some of our new staff on the proposal team. I have a new staff person. Her name is Chantel Galios, and she has come to us from another department on campus. So she is very familiar with extramural funding requests, and she's joined our team at the beginning of this year.
Thank you, Chris. I don't know who is sharing screen. Maybe we can take that off so we can see each other, all of us. Thank you. So
I would like to introduce our new Associate Director, Nicole Walters. She's moved from our education team to the new position. We also just added a new analyst, Joseph Harrington. I think I just butchered his name. Terribly sorry. And we're moving staff around rapidly, and Mahila Harris has left UC Davis after 30+ years.
And if folks don't know, that's John Tupin in the IRB office.
Thank you, Perry.
thank you both. I don't think we have anybody new in the awards team. We are hoping to get some new people, but we haven't been successful in recruitments. So hopefully soon.
No, we have new people. We have new people.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you want to introduce the new members of your team?
So we have Chanel Jones and Wendy Johnson, who's joined the awards team and is assisting in processing awards.
Okay.
I also wanted to mention on the proposals team, we have Alondra Castaneda. She's a new analyst, and she's going to be working on proposals for all over the campus.
Thank you very much. On this sponsored program side, you know that our org chart on the web is, we try to keep it up to date as much as possible. So the current org chart is effective January 1st. So these new individuals that were mentioned, they are on our org chart. You would see them there.
I also wanted to introduce Christine Byrd. She joined us in December, so we didn't have a meeting that month, so I didn't get an opportunity. But Christine Byrd also has joined us on the proposal team as well. We're very excited for her.
Yeah, thank you very much. And again, all these additions, at one point we were 22% down, in FTEs. From the total of less than 40, we were missing 10. That's a lot. So we are little by little, we are coming up, and at the same time, we are losing people too. So we have lost several people since, and we are trying really hard to fill the positions. And as I said before, meanwhile, the volume of work is going up, luckily for all of the campus, which means that processing documents is, there's no question, it's going to be slower. And that's to be expected. Okay. Anything else from anywhere? I see some other chats here. Okay. Well, if we don't have anything else, we can go back and serve the campus that we serve. Ready to close? Going once? Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice rest of the day. We meet you at